All right. Welcome, welcome to the Local 372 Black History Celebration 2014. This year's theme is Unity, Strength, and Power.
So the struggle continues. And here at DC 37 with this Local 372, we take pride in celebrating everybody's culture. Everyone has made a contribution to the fabric of this country. And no culture should be disrespected and should be embraced and celebrated as we do here with the Local 372 and District Council 37.
Just like John, I want to be ready. I want to be ready. I want to be ready to walk in Jerusalem just like John.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
To walk in Jerusalem just like John.
I once was lost, but now I'm found.
To walk in Jerusalem just like John.
And Mickey told me it's alright if I just come here and ask around the way talk. Well, my mother used to call us a kitchen table talk. So is that alright with you? Yeah. So that's the kitchen table talk. You don't let them distinguish among us.
You'll be here on Judgment Day.
I want to be ready.
Then I thought about that damn snowstorm we had 2 weeks ago. I thought about every crossing guard that stood in those blizzards to ensure safe passage, not just for every child, but for my one child right here. I thought about everybody who worked in the kitchen, who provided sometimes perhaps the only hot meal some of them babies have that day and other days. I thought about every person who ensured that those buildings were clean and safe and well lit. Some of those men pushing the broom, maybe the only father figure some of them babies have. I thought about you. I've come to say that you are first responders. In many ways, you are the first line of defense when it comes to securing the lives of our children. You are vital. Even if your family is recognized or rewarded, because what I know for sure is that if we lose the people who stand up for the most vulnerable, if we lose the people who care for the most vulnerable, if we lose our first responders, if we lose you, then we lose Black history. We lose Black history, we lose hope, and we lose possibility, we lose a livable tomorrow. We can't afford that. We can't afford to lose not any single one of you in this room. Each one of you matters. We need each one of you strong and in peace and being honored for who you are and what you give every day. But in order for that to happen, this is what I finally learned. It took me a minute. Is that it's an inside job. You gotta have to show the world how it's done. They ain't gonna come at it naturally.
In Jerusalem. Jerusalem, just like John. To walk in 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 Jerusalem. Just like John.
This is what happens. Someone said about Jay-Z earlier, and I thought, that's what they do. A few will do well, and they will hold them up. They'll say, look, he came from Marcy. Beyonce's mama just did hair. And we will think that the American dream is a real-lived thing for the majority of our people, when in fact 40% of black children wake up in poverty every day. That's the American reality. We may not talk about it. We We may not like to talk about it. We may like to think if we play Powerball, we're going to be Jay-Z and Adam Marcy and now we're done and Tribeca next to De Niro. We may like to think that. Real talk is 40% of our children wake up in poverty every day and don't have enough food. So I'm here today not only to thank you, not only to tell you how valued and needed you are, how Black history you are. I'm here to ask you to disrupt the pattern that's woven its way through so much of our culture by taking just a little time each morning. Give yourself to yourself before you give yourself to the world. Lay in your bed with your eyes closed. Remember who you are and who you come from. You are brilliant, strong first responders, first lines of defense in support of the most vulnerable among us, our precious babies. You are Black history and deserve to be greeted and treated with dignity and respect at home, in street, and at work, and all of us can do that immediately. Walking with that knowing determination about the right and need for human dignity to be a real lived thing for all people, then we can begin to model that for those who still need to learn it. And I promise you this, we won't have the policies or the politicians that create man-made disasters like having the world's largest incarceration rate. That's a man-made disaster. That's a policy decision. That's not an act of personal failure when you have 5% of the world's population and 25% of its prison population. That's a policy decision. You won't have craziness like rents that surpass even the best salaries we have in here. If you charge $5,000 for a 400 square foot box and say it's normal, say that without acting like you drunk or something like that. We won't have stop and frisk for zero tolerance in school. We won't have our children being killed with impunity, not because they play their music too loud, not because they talk back, not because they wear hoodies, but because they're Black and they're male, and those two identifiers still come with a target on it, just as much. Matter of fact, more of a target than during slavery, because slavery they had a job for. This is happening on our watch, but when we know who we are, when we embrace the richness of who we are, the beauty and power of who we are, we will say, not on my goddamn watch you will shoot my babies with impunity. Not on mine. You will not make every damn thing a crime and then hunt my neighborhood down to find everybody who fits the bill. You won't needlessly deport, underpay, overwork, and mass disenfranchise any of us. We will say, if you know what you say it with me, what Minister Malcolm, our shining Black prince, said, we declare our right on this earth to be a human being, to be respected as a human being, to be given the rights of a human being in this society, on this earth, in this day, which we intend to bring about by any means necessary.
Can you hear me back there? That is strength.